Hey there. Today we have a little bit of after dark sort of conspiracy theory content. So, what we're going to discuss today is Göbekli Tepe. Now, this is a really interesting subject, okay? This is a really deep rabbit hole you can go down. So, let me take you through it, okay? So, Göbekli Tepe, I heard about quite a few months ago. I saw somewhere someone said that essentially it's this 10,000-year-old archaeological site that they decided to stop digging for seemingly no reason. Basically, they claim they need more modern archaeological techniques in order to be able to dig the site. And so essentially, there's a 10,000-year-old sort of grand temple that was built that they found that is just entirely it hasn't been excavated. It was discovered in 1994, and there's been really no excavations since 2016. Okay, and it's one of those things where it's clearly like a cover up, because there's essentially. So I looked into it. That's the sort of synopsis, and then so I was looking into it because I was interested. Okay, what's this cover up about? And essentially, if you look into it, so in 2016, someone claimed that Göbekli Tepe was the Garden of Eden. And then the person who runs Göbekli Tepe got super mad and was like, this is not the Garden of Eden. Let me share this here. So you can look on the FAQ of their website. And this is circa 2016-2017. And it says, there are rumors that Göbekli Tepe can be related to the Garden of Eden, described in the Bible. Is there any truth to this? And it says, we disagree wholeheartedly with any parallels drawn between Göbekli Tepe and the Garden of Eden, for which there is absolutely no archaeological evidence. Okay, this is what they say. So, I would argue, like, well, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you so against Göbekli Tepe being part of the Garden of Eden? Okay, so this is the beginning of the rabbit hole. So essentially, in 2016, some person wrote some article about how there's a lot of snake imagery in the Garden of Eden. Actually, wait, I can show this here. So, no, this one. Okay, there's a lot of snake imagery in the Garden of Eden. As you can see, there's a lot of pictures of snakes going around. These are all pictures from Göbekli Tepe of what was excavated before they stopped excavating. So, back in 2016, someone wrote some article saying, okay, this is similar to the Garden of Eden. There's all this snake imagery, and it's in the headwaters of the Tigris and Euphrates Valley, which is the same as the Garden of Eden. So you're thinking, wait, this is from 10,000 years ago. This is really crazy because this is like Genesis. This is Garden of Eden, and then yeah, as you just saw there's a FAQ on the official website, and it's like, there's absolutely no way this is affiliated with the Garden of Eden, which doesn't really make any sense because there's snake imagery, it's in the exact same location, so why are they denying it? And then on top of that, they are not excavating the site. You can look it up. Ever since this person posted this thing about it being the Garden of Eden, they made an angry blog post saying you're crazy if you think that, which is like, it was 10,000 years ago. It's a biblical story. Where is your certainty coming from, sir, that like you're saying it's not the Garden of Eden? I mean, that is the most suspicious response I've ever heard of. That's what got me interested in this, because I was like, the second I read that, I'm like, okay, well, if you say something like that, now I just assume that it's true. Okay, so you look more into it. Okay, and it goes so deep, right? And it makes you wonder, like, this is such a clear cover up. Someone mentions the Garden of Eden, they get mad, they say it's not the Garden of Eden, and they stop excavating it. So clearly, it is the Garden of Eden, right? But then, like, let's go deeper. Why? This is a real mind twister. Why would some, and also around that 2016 time as well, when there was the Garden of Eden speculation, they said no, they stopped excavating. It was purchased by a some sort of consortium that was going to manage the excavations, aka stop excavating, and it was announced at the World Economic Forum, the WEF. It was announced that's crazy, right? Like, how do they tie into this? At the World Economic Forum, it was announced that they were going to stop looking into Göbekli Tepe, which is like, that is crazy, right? Like, why is the World Economic Forum having an announcement about an obscure archaeological site that they're acquiring not to do anything with? And it's totally not the Garden of Eden. It's a 10,000-year-old megastructure, but we're not excavating it. Okay, so it just gets so weird. It just gets so weird. Okay, but now let's let's talk about something else for a second. The Book of Enoch. So the Book of Enoch is one of these, I didn't realize these things even existed, but apparently there are a number of books which are not the Bible, but are the same sort of age of the Bible and the same sort of style. It's just they were excluded from the Bible for various reasons. Like everyone just excluded them. They're like, this is not canon in our sort of religious, like theological mythology. I don't know, whatever you call it. And the Book of Enoch is kind of a funny book. So it's a bunch of angels, and they're sitting around, and they're like, they're just hanging out in heaven. They're like by the campfire, and essentially one of the angels is like, damn, like these human girls are looking fine, right? And they're all sort of talking with each other, and they're like, we should go and we should get laid. We should go have kids with these women, that the human daughters, and they're sort of like hyping each other up. They're like, I'd love to do this. I'd love it. And then like one of them stands up and is like, guys, we can't just talk about this. Like, we have to actually do this. Okay, we have to actually go and impregnate the human daughters. Okay, and it's like, let's make a covenant. Okay, so all the angels come down and they descend onto the it's called Mount Hernon, I think, and they have a sort of pledge. They're like, we're gonna get laid. It's like the getting laid pledge. Okay, and they're like, on our and the leader's like, on my heads be it. I don't care about the consequences. We're gonna get laid. Okay, so the angels go, right? They have fun, and they have a whole bunch of kids with these daughters. But the kids, okay, they grow up to be giants. They grow up to be 800 foot or 800 league tall giants, okay, that ravage the land, destroy everything. And there's some other events that go on too, like they're like sorcery and alchemy, and the giants are fighting everybody. And essentially, it's like a sort of it's like a Rick and Morty episode. Okay, it's like there's just these genetic abominations wandering the world, causing chaos. Okay, and it's like, oh, like we got to abandon this planet. Like, what's going on? Okay, then God comes down, and God gets really upset. Okay, and he's basically like, what are you guys doing? You guys are having these giants. They're eating everybody. Like, this has gone horribly wrong. You're supposed to be angels. What the hell's going on? Okay, and then let's pick off here. So in the Book of Enoch, it says right here, it's sort of long, but it says, a great fire which burnt and blazed, blah 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 blah. How fearful and how terrible to look upon. And then blah 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 blah. And because of the spectacle of the pain, and he said unto me, this place is the prison of the angels, and here they will be imprisoned forever. This is what the Book of Enoch says. This extremely ancient myth, the same age or similar as the Bible. Okay, now let's go to this next chapter here. And thence I went another place, and he showed me to the west great and high mountains of high rock. And there was 4 hollow places, deep and wide, very smooth. How smooth! The hollow places are deep and dark to look at. And there were 4 hollow places in it, deep and very smooth. 3 of them were dark and 1 bright. There was a fountain of water in the midst. Blah, 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 blah. The children of men, of a dead man. Blah, 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 blah. Then I asked, why was one separated from the other? Blah. Okay, you're getting the picture here, right? We can keep going. But essentially, this is a prison for the angels, or like kind of similar. And they're being held in here for causing all the chaos with the giants, okay? So now, right, you're thinking, okay, well, this is just some weird biblical story, right? This doesn't matter. Okay, but now, let's look at an image of Göbekli Tepe. what does that look like? Like, that looks like exactly what was described here. Let's go back to the Book of Enoch, okay? The Book of Enoch, why is one separated from the other? As you can see, one is clearly separated from the others. Like, one has this whole thing over here, or I guess you could argue it's that one. Doesn't matter. There's 4 places. They're hollow places. They're surrounded. And what you have to understand about these pillars, okay? So the pillars are, I wish I had an image, but the pillars are essentially like these big tall pillars, and then like it's like men, and they're like chained up like this. And I think in Göbekli Tepe they found a bunch of human like skulls. So I think the idea of Göbekli Tepe is that there's the human skulls are supposed to be suspended above, and like the stone carving is like of a person's arms like this, like chained up and looking down like the human skulls. And then there's just like the hollow places below, and there's all the pictures of the animals, of the snakes, of all that sorts of different stuff. And then yeah, there's literally 4 places, and it's like a prison essentially, where they're like chained up with the little heads looking down, and they're like the animals are below them. And you're just reading the Book of Enoch just once again, and it looks exactly like that. These hollow places have been created for this very purpose, that the souls of the dead should assemble therein. And yeah, all the souls of the children of the men should assemble here. And these places have been made to receive them till the day of their judgment. Blah, 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 blah. And basically they describe here Göbekli Tepe. I mean, they describe, that's exactly what that looks like. It's 4 hollow places. There's a bunch of other stuff that matches. And actually, it's really, really interesting. In the Book of Enoch, there's actually an exact description, and this is really crazy, of where it is in the world. I guess in the ancient world, it was harder to tell where things were, so there's a pretty clear description. It's like there's 3 mountains to the south, there's 5 mountains to the east, there's like 4 mountains to the west, something like that. And essentially, if you look at where Göbekli Tepe is, okay, so Göbekli Tepe is right over here, okay, and if you sort of call these things mountains, if you call each peak a mountain, okay, it's a bit hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure it's like 1, 2, and I think 3, because afterwards is just the sort of Syrian desert. So I'm pretty sure there actually are 3, like what you could consider to be a mountain south of Göbekli Tepe, and there are similarly, there's like 5 mountains to the east, until once again it becomes this sort of deserty thing over here. So that's just really strange that this location lines up exactly with the Book of Enoch and the Watchers. And it's also really strange that that was not included in, it's not included in any Abrahamic religion. And then, okay, so you're thinking this is crazy, right? Like, boom, like this is like world shattering. Like, why is someone trying to cover up like the excavation of an ancient temple? Why is it perfectly described in some ancient myth? Okay, and then also it's like, and it also has a lot of allusions to the Garden of Eden. And by the way, okay, it's literally in the headwaters of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It's like perfectly in the middle, so it totally matches that Garden of Eden sort of analogy. Okay, but now, right, so the way the Bible works, I'm pretty sure, is that there's basically the sort of Genesis times, and then there's the flood and all that sort of stuff, and then there's the stuff where after Abraham leads the people to wherever he goes, to the Levant, to Israel, okay? And before that time, things are measured in the hundreds of years. They're talking about giants, they're talking about crazy stuff going on, and then afterwards it becomes a sort of like different type of story. After Abraham moves the people away from the old lands to the new lands. Okay, so you might be wondering, right? Where did Abraham take the people from? Okay, where were the people from? Okay, and you know what's crazy? The people, Abraham was actually from Haran. Okay, isn't that crazy, right? Abraham was in the valley. He lived in the valley just south of Göbekli Tepe. So Göbekli Tepe, if you're standing on top of it, you're looking down into the valley, you would see where Abraham lives. You say, hey Abraham, hey people, have fun taking the tribes to wherever you're going to go. And then they went over to Israel, and then they did all the stuff over there. So I just think that's a little bit crazy that literally uh, there's this there's this fact here, and it says there are rumors that Göbekli Tepe can be related to the Garden of Eden. Certainly, Göbekli Tepe lies in the chain of hills north of the Haran Plain, the scene of numerous biblical narratives, though this is where any associations to the Bible end. And it's like, see, that doesn't make any sense at all, because it perfectly describes the Book of Enoch, and then also it's like literally like Abraham. If Abraham had a horse, I know probably horses weren't as good back then. It took a lot of generations of breeding to get them big and strong. But still, if he had a donkey, I'm pretty sure he could get to Haran in a day or two. And it wouldn't even be like that far away. Like he would see it the whole time. It would just take him a little while to trot over there. Like this is like a weekend getaway type of deal here. This is not a this is you'd go here on vacation. I mean, it wouldn't be too far away. This wouldn't be some crazy long journey. I mean, this guy, he took his people from Haran all the way over to Israel, okay? So there is really no reason whatsoever that he can't go on a little trip to Göbekli Tepe. So yeah, so this is the sort of rabbit hole that you can go down with this sort of thing, where there's actually a guy, Andrew Collins, and after I started looking into it, he has like all these crazy theories. Like you can go super deep into it, but to be honest, like I sort of lost a little bit of interest. I'm like, okay, that's enough for me. I have other things to do. But I just thought it was absolutely fascinating that there is, in the modern day, there is a cover up, because they want you to believe that this place it's a 10,000-year-old ancient site. It's the most ancient site like we know of, and they want you to believe that nothing happened here. It's unrelated to anything in the modern world. And then it perfectly parallels the description in this like ancient text. And that's just so crazy, right? Like it almost makes you think like, what interest would there be in that sort of like a cover up? And the only thing that I can sort of think of would have to be related to the Abrahamic religions, okay? Because those are the only people, it's only like a priest or something who, or like or a rabbi or a imam. Those would be the only types of people who would be interested in this esoteric stuff about religious, the heart of religion. No one else cares. So it's like, isn't it interesting that in the modern world, in 2025, there are a group of people out here that are trying not to uncover a 10,000-year-old historic site that is like clearly what is being referenced in this ancient book. And that's just really crazy to me. That's really crazy to me that they would try and, I mean, I haven't looked into the Garden of Eden stuff because I think it's like less interesting than the fact that it totally lines up with the Book of Enoch. But I think Garden of Eden stuff too, like it would make sense that it was the Garden of Eden. It had a lot of pictures of snakes. There's one that's arguably a tree and a snake. There's I mean, it would have been in a very green area outside of a desert. So that's very lush to me. It's in the headwaters of the Tigris and Euphrates, like river valley. So that's where the Garden of Eden was. It's near where the original Bible stuff was going on before they moved the tribes to wherever they went. So yeah, so that would kind of line up with the Garden of Eden too. I don't know as much about that, but why would someone try and pretend that it's not that? Why would someone try and pretend it's different? And you can go sort of really deep into this. I think it lies at the heart of Abrahamic religion. Like, why are, this, and this is a sort of subtopic, why are we so obsessed with birds? You ever think about that? Like, America has the eagle, Rome had the eagle, and fun fact, Rome only had the eagle with the Marius reforms after they went to the province of Africa and conquered the province of Africa. So this would have been sort of going to the desert. Like, why is there this sort of like desert bird religion that sort of originates here, that sort of goes everywhere? Does this have something like, is there something deeper that we as normal people don't realize about religion that is sort of like that is sort of being hidden here. Like if we excavated the rest of Göbekli Tepe and we're like, oh yeah, this is the Garden of Eden. Oh, there are a bunch of human skulls of people who've just been like killed, or maybe they just died and they put the skulls there, but it kind of looks a little dodgy. Like this is the heart of our like Abrahamic faith. Like maybe that would sort of cause people to see things differently, like the origin of certain myths, and it sort of makes you think like, because Göbekli Tepe 10,000 years ago, this would have been right when the last ice age ended. So if you think about it, all the humans are wandering around, they're doing all their crazy stuff, and it's like when the religion, when the ice age ends, it's like an unpause button, and they have the chance to do like a bunch of crazy stuff. They have a chance to implement all their crazy schemes. So if you're thinking about it, so the ice age ends, they have a lot more resources, they have a lot more time to do stuff, and this is one of the first things they choose to do. They choose to make this temple, and then thousands of years later, there's books, the Book of Enoch, which is written about this temple. Then thousands of years in the future after that, we're sitting here in 2025, and people are sort of like, no, we're not going to uncover the temple. And it makes you think, like, that is so suspicious, right? Like, it's like, is there something at the heart of like our world in terms of like the sort of religious, sort of mystical realm that is like, that actually impacts our day to day? Like, I think it would have to be something epistemological, like maybe the fact that we view things as good or bad, or maybe the fact that we view like the sky as being like heaven and the ground as being, or like the underground as being hell. Like maybe like it's something like kind of like that if you were to uncover this sort of ancient site, you would sort of start to rethink, and you're like, wait a minute, is that actually correct? Like, or have our minds just been primed to accept that sort of conjecture? And maybe that has other implications for the way we think about our world, who we give power to, who we don't. I don't know. That's all very sort of random. I'm not saying any of that is true, but I think it's a very strange story, and I want to talk about it.